Dean Martin.
Everybody loves somebody sometime.
Dean Martin is in London. Former shoeshine boy, garage attendant, boxer, singer, comedian, actor. He's in London. The man of whom Frank Sinatra said he's been stoned more often than the American embassy. Myth or not? He's here for a launch and a lunch. The lunch is the ladies' luncheon of the Variety Club of Great Britain, departing from their norm. They're not fundraising today, well, not very much. They're giving this lunch in honour of a star whom they feel merits it. And to celebrate that event, it is a star-studded occasion. Well, standing behind me, Eric Morecambe, Ernie Wise is here, Tommy Cooper, Suzanne Danielle, Anita Harris, Ron Moody, Dickie Henderson, Stephanie Lawrence, Elaine Page. If I've forgotten anyone, forgive me, the list is endless. And gracing the whole occasion, Her Royal Highness Princess Anne. Princess Anne arrives to a most enthusiastic welcome, which appeared to spill over into her meeting with Dean Martin. The two found much to talk about. And as they were talking, I looked around and my eyes alighted on two of my favourite people. Right.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Honestly, you two, trying to talk to you two. This is rather an historic occasion, because you had the first star lunch, didn't you?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
When was that?
I don't know. Tell them about it.
So it was the Morecambe and Wise This Is Your Lunch. It was way back, somewhere like, I think, 1975.
1875. Des O'Connor was here, I remember it.
And we had all sorts of important, Glenda Jackson, they all made speeches. It was great.
What?
You've stopped talking.
No, I was enjoying. I got a little piece of nut at the back there, and I was enjoying
Right,
that.
well, I'll talk to your friend.
Yes.
How do you feel about attending this lunch today?
Oh, I think it's marvellous. He's 65, isn't he?
Is he really?
He's a little bit older now.
Yeah, he's come over for his bus pass.
It's his 65th birthday.
Next week, I think.
Next week, is it?
Next week, yes.
No, I think it's very good because, you know, it's a double act, an ex-double act.
That's right.
Which is what I like, you know, like, what is it, Martin and Lewis. And all the good ones start with them. Martin and Lewis, Morecambe and Wise, Morrill and Hardy.
And I thought to myself, as soon as they introduce those cheap fares from Los Angeles, you know, he'll be over.
Now the guests are moving into the ballroom for lunch, and having a look at the menu, there's a rather unusual starter. Well, not so unusual when you think that Dean Martin was born Dino Crocetti, because the starter today is pizza. And looking down the menu, do you know, I can't see a thing to drink.
Your Royal Highness, my lords, ladies and gentlemen, pray silence.
And just before the speeches get underway, the Chief Barker, Jarvis Astaire, presents a cheque to Her Royal Highness Princess Anne for her chosen charity, which is Riding for the Disabled.
Ladies and gentlemen, Her Royal Highness, the Princess Anne, Mrs. Mark Phillips.
This really is a most enjoyable occasion for me, quite apart from the very nice things you have said about me. I am in the always enviable position of receiving money. And short of these very few words of thanks, I shall sit down in the confident expectation of being entertained by our distinguished speakers after a very palatable repast. I think I'm rather relieved to be nearly the first on the agenda. As you will shortly discover, things can only get better. However, I hope you will bear with me for just a moment in order to say a very serious and sincere thank you to the Variety Club for these very generous cheques for the Riding for the Disabled Association. The Variety Club has been a very good friend to the Riding for the Disabled, indeed since 1962, and has now contributed well over £40,000, which has been spent all over the country in many guises, but often in the shape of minibuses like their Sunshine coaches, for transporting children from their homes and from their schools to their groups. essential in the more remote areas where homes are often very isolated. And the other visible benefits are the sort of portable wooden tack rooms where the groups can keep all their specialised tack and enable the children to be given additional instruction in tack cleaning, grooming and stable management. But above all, somewhere where they can get together and communicate with each other about their experiences in whatever way that suits them best. I'm not going to expand much further because I'm getting to the stage, not necessarily the age, where I'm in danger of going on a bit too long about the benefits, both physical and mental, of riding therapy. But suffice to say that the Variety Club's support has been a more than welcome assistance in our attempts to allow as many children as possible to share the very positive effects of riding and contact with ponies as therapy for many types of disabilities. Thank you all very much. And thank you too for inviting me to this special occasion. Of course, being asked to lunch with the Variety Club is always special. But I must say that your original invitation did not give any hint of just how special this occasion was going to be. Now that I know, I'm going to sit down and enjoy the rest of this occasion and allow you, and more important, your birthday guest, to do the same.
Pray silence for Mr. Peter Goodright.
Your Royal Highness, Mr. Chief Barker, Mr. Dean Martin, members of the Variety Club, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and fully paid-up members of Equity. When I mentioned to our local vicar on Sunday morning that I was having lunch with Dean Martin on Tuesday, he said, "Oh, Dean Martin, oh, do give him my very kindest regards. He is with the Guildford Diocese, isn't he?" With respect to Your Royal Highness, the vicar knew of you. He said, "Ah, yes, she's that nice young person who plays badminton so well for England." I was delighted, Mr. Chief Barker, to have been invited to this culinary extravaganza to honor Mr. Dean Martin for two reasons. Firstly, I have been a great fan of his for many, many years. And secondly, the state of our business nowadays, any opportunity to eat is one not to be missed. Dean Martin is a GBS, a great big star. So much so, and this is not generally known, when they heard he was coming over here, it was in fact the Dean Martin fan club who organized People Express. They're very good, you know, those cheap fare, direct airlines. I went on one a couple of weeks ago, Chipping Sodbury to Las Vegas. £28.36. Return. It was very good. The only drawback was for the first 100 miles we had to do crop spraying. But Dean Martin is here. I'm very glad we are of it. As many of you know, Dean is a good Catholic boy. He could have become a priest, only they were a bit worried about leaving him in charge of the communion wine. However, our country does give him an unparalleled opportunity to become an animal lover. There's the dog and duck, the hare and hounds, the white bear, the flying horse, the grouse, the stag, the bandit. As you all know, today is Dean's birthday. And we had a little celebration before we came into luncheon, and I know I'm not giving any secrets away when I say that there were 65 candles on the cake. Well, there were on the slice I had, anyway. The waiter who lit the candles wore protective clothing. None of this, I'm sure, Dean, will in any way affect the great success you have in store for you down at the Apollo Victoria for the next 10 days or so, because Dean Martin, in my opinion, you are to failure is to humility. Mr. Chief Barker, I beg leave to second your remarks.
Pray silence for Mr. Ron Mooney.
Your Royal Highness, Princess Anne, Your Royal High, Dean Martin. Mr. Non-Political Chief Barker, fellow Barkers, ladies and hats. It is 6 years since I last spoke at a Variety Club luncheon, and I would like to thank you for the speedy callback. At the Hilton International Museum of Modern Art. And may I say how gratified I am that so many of you have turned out for the occasion, especially on a Tuesday afternoon when most people go out to enjoy themselves. I'm even more gratified and impressed to be speaking here today because this, after all, is the luncheon of the year. Why? Wherefore is this luncheon different from all other luncheons? Because not only is it the annual ladies' luncheon, an occasion when we are privileged to gaze upon some of the outstanding figures in show business, and the women aren't bad either. As you may well imagine, when asked to second the host of the toast, I had an overwhelming urge to suggest that some of my eminent colleagues would be better fitted for the occasion, but I overwhelmed it. Well, why not? After all, as you have no doubt assumed, I do have a very special personal knowledge of Mr. Martin, yes indeed. I know that he is one of the world's great entertainers. I know that he is one of the rare handful of all-time constant sell-out attractions at Las Vegas. I know that when the Klan took over the Copa Room of the Sands Hotel in 1960, Eisenhower, Churchill, and even Khrushchev couldn't get seats. And I know that he is one of the few people who really deserve to be called a star. I know this. The only thing is, he's wondering who the hell I am. But that is what democracy is all about. That I, a humble thespian could be chosen to speak for all the other less humble thespians you see before you. But let there be no mistake, today we celebrate the 39th birthday and the 49th year in show business of a true democrat and a very unique and indefinable talent. So how may we define it? How may we even begin to comprehend that Dean Martin has been at it for 49 years? I mean, how does he do it? How do we get to do it? Even half of it. And last of all, but by no means last, we come to his voice. His voice. Well, what can we say about his voice that is good? Enough. It is without question one of the finest popular voices of our time. You name them, we've heard them. Crosby, Sinatra, Como, Des O'Connor, and he's up there with them. On the peak of the pop Olympus, there reigns our honoured guest. And which of you has not at some time held his or her breath in sheer admiration at the soaring notes of Dean Martin's most famous evergreen song? Amidst the confusion, I dream of a grand illusion. I forget the words of my tenement symphony. What?
That was Tony Martin.
Tony Martin? Tony Martin sang that. Well, who's he then? Enough of this, my friends. I would like to finish on a rather more serious note. Because we have almost unraveled the mystery of the magical Mr. Martin. Almost. There is a little something more. I have a theory that actors become enduring stars because they reflect some aspect of the national character. And there's no question that Dean Martin has always represented the American way of life at its most... I mean, what clean living American father has not at some time admonished his son for not growing up like Dean Martin? And why? Because the little something more that Dean Martin brings into our lives, apart from his looks and his loves and his larynx, is a great, big, beautiful sense of fun. He is a man who loves life, and we love him for it. And in paying tribute to a gentleman who has done all the things that we wanted to do and didn't, and still looks better than we do, with hair, of course, I say with respect and affection, happy birthday, Dino, and I hope we've given you back even a little of the happiness and fun that you have given us by coming to England, bringing some of your Californian weather, and especially by being here with us today.
Jackson, the Provost of Blackburn.
Chief Barker, Your Royal Highness, my lords, ladies and gentlemen, you probably gathered from having heard the riot of the last quarter of an hour that I've been really hired by Hilton International in case things really got out of hand, because I'm the only one here qualified to reconsecrate the Hilton, you know, if things do begin. What? Yes, more than you could do, Dickie, you know, with all. And I'm the only one, really, the nearest thing to a dean. I've just come from a dean and provost conference. The provost is a working-class dean. And I was invited here, as we say in the trade. No use getting... Oh, this is a completely different tack. No use getting to field rank in the church if you don't know your place. One of the troubles about coming to London hotels is when you get to field rank, like me, and get into a lift, it will only go up much to what is known as the chagrin of the American visitors here. I wish I could make my reply after all this expert riot in a slogan. I was going through Arnold, which is a suburb of Nottingham, a very, yes, interesting suburb of Nottingham. I was about to say demotic, but that will be misunderstood. In Passion Week. Your glasses are steaming up, madam. That is the week. That is 2 weeks before Easter. And on the local primitive Methodist church notice board, somebody had put one of those awful handwritten slogans which said, tenors and basses wanted for crucifixion. And somebody had written underneath, with an aerosol spray, the can have our Harold anytime. And thinking where I was coming in the order of batting, I was wondering if we could have a text because of my trade, field rank, of course. And I looked in the hotel Bible, and at the bottom, the printed word, somebody with very great skill, a graphologist, had written in Undertaker's Gothic, that marvellous Undertaker's Gothic, a text which said, despite ravaging inflation, the wages of sin remain the same. It's not for me to speak in extenso after these marvellous supporting speeches we've just heard for this marvellous man, you know, exotic and exuberant and effervescent, although you look rather quiescent at the moment, but no doubt you're relaxing, limbering up for the kill. I've decided with your personal assistant to clear off immediately because of the autograph hunters. English reticence and reserve, yes. Coming up on the trains from Tunbridge Wells from 8 o'clock every morning. And for 15 years, some of them have got into their first-class seats and have sat anchored behind their newspapers 15 or 20 years, the same seats, the same people, and I've never said a thing, do you know? But this is true. And I'm told that the other day in such a first-class compartment where the same inhabitants had been there up and down for 20 years, one of them decided to make a breakthrough. And he lowered the paper read by top people, and he addressed the man in the other corner, and he said, I'm making a breakthrough, I'm a brigadier, I'm married, I have 4 sons, and they're all doctors. And the other chap lowered the Daily Tea, very careful, you know, at election time, and he said, how extraordinary, I also am a brigadier, and I'm married, and I have 4 sons, and they're all vets. And they turned on the man in the third corner, who by this time had lowered the FT. Good job, this is an old story. He lowered fellow of the FT, and he said, before you say anything, extraordinary, I too am a brigadier, and I'm married, and I have 4 sons all in insurance. Then the 3 of them turned round to a little man in the 4th corner, shielding behind the Daily M. That was before the year of the sun. And he lowered his paper, he says, I've heard you. He said, I'm a sergeant major. I'm not married. I've got 4 sons and they're all brigadiers. Mr. Chief Barker, isn't it a fact that today, here, as we say in the trade, we're all brigadiers, aren't we? We're all at one in paying a great accolade to this marvellous Hollywood great, Dean Martin. And in saying so, I join my own words to pay tribute to his immense talent, and above all else, I think, for showing us that life is ultimately enjoyable, gifted by God, you know, and if we can fill, yes, don't you worry, we're very much incommunicado. Here's a pair of sparkling eyes, and they have never been so natural. Thank you very much for all that you've been and all that you are, and it's a great privilege to be able to stand up, you know, not only pleased to see you, but pleased to be able to see you. And really to say in English, thank tar ever so.
Your Royal Highness, Chief Barker, fellow Barkers, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. I'm not overreacting, am I? Do you know, I was walking down and what? Second sentence. We're all going to leave here in about 10 minutes. Because another lot waiting to eat. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. And also a great surprise is someone else's birthday. It's a lady's birthday, and she's 105. And she's here today. And she's sitting right over there with her mother. But you know, I'm so pleased that Dean Martin's here because I do that again. Because I always remember to lie awake and think about the old Martin Lewis films. I bet he does as well. And when you think of those two, it's amazing how things turn out. I mean, Dean Martin has become an international star, known all over the world. I often wonder what happened to that eye who used to do the singing. But I will say one thing, he has surpassed everybody. He worked in Vegas when there was only one Indian. Only one Indian who had to find the ladies' stand. And then he went, he did films, he's done everything. And I think his career has proved many things. He left that very famous film partnership of Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis to prove that it was him who was dragging it down. Now, I'm not going to tell the drinking jokes because he must be fed up with it. And I drink just for medicinal purposes. I'm sick of being sober. Someone said to me, "Do you always drink whiskey neat?" I said, "No, sometimes I let my shirt hang up." You gotta laugh, haven't you? I'm on a whiskey diet. I am. Last week, I lost 3 days. There's an Englishman, Scotsman, and an Irishman. Englishman, Scotsman, and Irishman. And they were arrested for being drunk in the street. So they said, I told you what we'd do, we'd give assumed names. And he said, a good idea, yeah, a good idea. So the policeman said to the Englishman, what's your name? So the Englishman looked at the shops and he saw Marks and Spencer. So he said, Mark Spencer. And he said to the Scotsman, what's your name? And he looked and he saw Timothy White. So he said, Tim White. And he said to the Irishman, what's your name? And he looked, he said, Kentucky Fried Chicken. I'd like to show you a trick now. I'd like to show you a trick. It was the worst trick I've ever done. But I do it well. And I think this trick is, for Dean Martin, it happens to be suitable. Glass, bottle, glass. And in this glass, I like to drink to your health. Cheers. Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
We have a message which came directly today to us, and it says, it's from a very great friend of yours, and a great friend of Variety Club too. He says, I would have been there for your luncheon, Dean, but I was afraid you'd get drunk and embarrass me. Frank. There is another message that I'm delighted to read to you. It's a cable via Western Union, I suppose, and then British Telecom. It's from, the address is White House, D.C., and it says, Mr. Dean Martin, Nancy and I offer our congratulations on your birthday and on the tribute you are receiving from the Variety Club of Great Britain. We wish you continued health and good fortune. Happy birthday and God bless you. Signed, Ronald Reagan. It is, therefore, with the greatest possible pleasure, Dean, that I present to you this silver heart, and the wording is presented by the Variety Club of Great Britain to Dean Martin to celebrate his visit to London and his birthday, and to express deep appreciation of his generous aid to sick and deprived children. I give it to you as a tribute and with the greatest possible pleasure on behalf of all my colleagues and, of course, myself and the Variety Club of Great Britain. And of course, it is Dean's birthday today, and we couldn't have let it go by without a traditional token to mark the birthday.
Thank you, Chief Barker, Your Royal Highness, my lords, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dean Martin.
I don't have anything prepared because I didn't know this tribute was going to be given to me till about 3 months ago. So I didn't write down anything, and after listening to all of these 4 or 5 wonderful gentlemen, I wouldn't give this spot to a leopard. They just told me to come here and cut the cake. That's what it was. It was just a piece of cake for me right now. I don't have anything to say, nothing at all. Just, I would like to make a toast to the men. May our wives and sweethearts never meet. That's about it. They said, Dean, don't prepare anything. Just cut the cake and you sit down alongside the lovely princess. And here I am. So I didn't, you're looking at me like as if I'm going to say something. That's all they said, or you lied to me. They said, say nothing at all. And that's, you know? You know? Sing. What key? I'm lucky I know the words. What key?
Your love made it